Hello class 9, let's continue our chapter number 1, Harappan Civilization. So in today's class, I'm going to tell you about the religious belief and religious faith of Harappan people, as well as we'll discuss about the decline of Harappan civilization, right? So let's begin our class. From the study of different sources like archaeological sources and other sources like seals and images and the objects which had been excavated from the uh, ruin of the Mohenjo-daro, we come to know that Harappan people, they worship nature, or they believed in nature god. So nature means like rain, um, rain, thunder, storms, or heavy downpour and strong wind. So they believed in those nature, right? So from the study of the objects which have been found at the ruins of the Mohenjo-daro, we come to know about their religious faith and beliefs, and we also come to know that they believed in nature worship, right? Okay, now let's talk about the worship of the mother goddess. Worship of female deity identified as a mother goddess was prevalent among the people. Many terracotta figurines and seals of this goddess have been brought to light. The discovery of semi-nude female figures wearing elaborate headdresses and ornaments led to the belief that the people worship the mother goddess. So from the study of those seals and figurines which had been excavated out from the that ruin sites, we come to know that Harappan people, they worshipped female goddess, right? So one example it's given here, that the discovery of semi-nude female figures wearing elaborate headdresses and ornaments led to the belief that the people worship mother goddess, right? Okay. Next, worship of Pashupati. The remarkable figure of a male deity which has been depicted on a particular seal is identified as Lord Shiva. So in previous class, I told you yogic posture, a man in a yogic posture having three heads, which depicts Lord Shiva, right? So that figure of male deity which was imprinted on that seal, particular seal depicted or identified as Lord Shiv or Pashupati, the three-faced figure with horns on either side of the headdress, is seated in a yogic posture on a throne surrounded by animals. So many scholars identify the figure as that of Lord Shiv, who is described as Trimukh, Mahayogi, and Pashupati. So that god, the posture god, yogic posture god, had been named as Trimukh, Mahayogi, and Pashupati, right? So that these were the name of that three-faced figure. Worship of trees and animals. The design on certain religious seals show that the people had faith in doctrine of animism. So doctrine of animism means they worshipped animals as well as they worshipped nature, like trees, sun, rain, etc. The figure of deity with a hooded cobra over its head and a worshipper on either side signifies that some form of Naga worship was practiced. It is interesting to note that some of these animals still figure as a vehicle of Hindu deities. For example, the bull of Shiv, the lion of Durga, the ram of Brahma, and the elephant of Indra, and a wild boar of Gauri. So many animals which were imprinted or designed on that religious seals show that the people, Harappan people, had faith in doctrine of animism, animals, and they believed in nature or nature worship, right? So it is interesting to note that some of these animals still figure as a vehicle of Hindu deities, because we know bull, that signifies Lord Shiv, and lion, that signifies Lord Durga or goddess Durga, and elephant, that signifies Lord Indra, etc. Right? Okay, now next topic we have decline of Harappan civilization. How this Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization came to an end. So, um, reliable evidence was not there or is not there, but there is no clear evidence or not reliable evidence regarding the reason for the decline of Harappan or Indus Valley civilization. But the scholars have made various speculations about its abrupt disappearance. So many scholars they had gone through and they had studied about that civilization, and they had calculated or they had estimated that and various speculations had made about its sudden disappearance of the civilization. So first one is, maybe there was an earthquake, right? Or maybe there was a flash flood, and maybe a river which was flowing near that um, civilization changed its course. Or maybe Aryans, the invaders, they invaded Indus Valley civilization, and they uh, attacked Indus Valley people or Harappan people. Or maybe there was ecological crisis caused by deforestation. So all these were what means there is no clear, or there was no clear evidence for the decline, regarding the reasons for the decline of Indus Valley civilization. But the scholars have made various speculations, right, estimated about its abrupt disappearance. So let's talk about an earthquake. Some scholars have shown that the Indus area lies in a disturbed seismic zone. So some scholars had estimated that maybe that the Indus civilization, Indus Valley civilization, that civilization lies in the disturbed fault zone or seismic zone. So earthquakes might have occurred or have raised the plains and the lower Indus River, that led to the submergence of cities inside the that due course of earthquake, and that led to submergence of cities like Mohenjo-daro, right? Okay, second estimate was of floods. Others scholars say that it might have been destroyed by floods, flash floods, which did occur periodically. Harappa, however, has not yielded any evidence of flooding. There was no evidence of flooding. This theory cannot explain why sites located outside in this system declined. So this theory was totally not applicable, but some scholars had estimated that there might be flash floods, and because of that led the submergence of the cities like Mohenjo-daro. A change in course of the river. Some other writers suggest that the river Indus River might have changed its course, submergence of the cities. So it could be a possibility, but not sure, right? Now, next, an invasion or the Aryans. Some scholars estimated that there might be invasion, or the Aryans had invaded or have invaded Indus Valley civilization and might have brought destructions all over the civilization. So there was one scholar, Mortimer Wheeler, pointed out there was an evidence of massacre because some 13 skeletons were found lying on the streets, but that presence of those few skeletons cannot justify Wheeler's belief of Indus Valley civilization being destroyed by Aryan invaders. So massacre, that means killing of people in a large scale, right? So mass killing, we call it massacre. So some of the skeletons, 13 skeletons, had been excavated out, which were lying on the streets of Harappan civilization. But the presence of few skeletons cannot justify Wheeler's belief of Indus Valley civilization being destroyed by Aryans, right? Okay, now next is ecological crisis. So ecological crisis, that means ecological imbalance. So ecological imbalance means obviously because of growing of population, there may be like pressure on land for growing food, for growing crops, as well as for housing and for other resources, right? So because of that, that leads to what? That led to deforestation. So deforestation means cutting of trees on a large scale. So that led to deforestation. That means deforestation, cutting of trees. That means led to ecological imbalance. So ecological imbalance means there might be a flash flood, or might be a drought, or because might be any other kind of abnormality in the nature, right? So that was because of deforestation. So that was because of deforestation, and that deforestation because of pressure on land, and that pressure on land because of growing population, and growing population of Indus Valley people, right? So that finally led to the ecological imbalance or ecological crisis, right? So these were the various reasons or various uh, possibilities for the decline of the Indus Valley or Harappan civilization, but there was no clear-cut evidence for the reason why that Indus Valley civilization had been collapsed suddenly, right? Okay, now next topic we have, that is Harappan and Mesopotamian civilization. One of the suggested assessments for internal assessment requires students to make a comparative study of the Harappan and Mesopotamian civilization. Therefore, it would prove worthwhile if we have here a brief account of Mesopotamian civilization. So, the word Mesopotamia, that means region, it's an area between two rivers, Mesopotamia, right? So, corresponds to the present day Iraq. So, Mesopotamia, today's date, we call it Iraq, right? So Iraq, in the previous ancient time, it was known as Mesopotamia. So Mesopotamia, that is modern Iraq, and parts of Iran, the Tigris Euphrates basin. So these are here are the two name of the rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. So Mesopotamia is that region between this Tigris and Euphrates river basin. The tribal people, they started settling here in the basin, and they started settling there for food, water, and other resources which were available in sufficient quantities in that area, in that region, right? Now the southernmost part of of Mesopotamia was called Sumer, and the people living in that region were known as Sumerians, right? And the regions situated a few kilometers away from Sumer were Babylonia and Akkad. The mountainous areas of Assyria were situated far the north of Babylonia. Now next we have Harappan people had a high standard of civic amenities. The Mesopotamian civilization was urban in character. Urban means very civilized, very civilized in character, and very modern in character. The civilization of Babylonia and Assyria was likewise urban in character, very advanced in character, but the Harappan people enjoyed a higher standard of civic amenities than those of Mesopotamia because of the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro and also its many houses with their own water supply, bathrooms, excellent drainage system, all go to say that the masses enjoyed a high degree of comfort and luxury unknown in other parts of the civilized world. From this we come to know, or we can say that Harappan people were modern in character, were urban in character, because the Harappan people had a higher standard of civic amenities, right? Okay, so let's talk about the last topic, that is this a winged human-headed lion from doorway in the palace of Assurbanipal, one of the kings of Assyria. So this type of monumental architecture that belonged to Assyrians. So Mesopotamian architecture was aristocratic and monumental, whereas Harappan people, they were not very good, or they were not very skilled in this type of monumental architecture, right? So it's written here, it was marked with magnificent palaces, temple and tombs of kings, and the Harappan architecture was not that monumental as that of Assyrians. So Assyrians were very skilled in this type of monumental architecture, and this figure, from this picture, so from this picture, you people can figure out how skillful were Assyrians. Monumental architecture. So that really shows that the Assyrians, that means Mesopotamians, were very skillful at monumental architecture than Indus Valley or Harappan people, right? In next video, we'll start new chapter and we'll definitely explore new facts and new things, right? So till then, bye-bye.